Perfect. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining to this session. I welcome you all and thanks for giving us the opportunity and the time to present us our solution. Today, we are starting with Planful webinar series. This is the first series along with Anamind that we have started on. And today's topic is tips on scaling, reporting, and analysis. We have here myself, Sheetal. I take care of operations within Anamind. I have Nick and Fiona as well. Nick is our solution consultant based out of US. Fiona is our channel sales director, helps in managing the growth in Planful. I'll give a brief intro about myself and then I'll hand it over to Nick for the rest of the presentation and demonstration. So I take care of operations within Anamind, and I've been with Anamind for about 6 years now, and I have a background in planning and analysis. As part of Anamind, what do? We help companies improve the planning process and forecasting capabilities, and we have one of the best solution here in our partnership, which is Planful. It's for companies to have a continuous planning process. It helps you in making error-free decisions. It helps in taking analysis to a next level. It basically helps in managing the overall FP&A process pretty smoothly. And we loved Planful solution because of its various features that we have seen and which Nick will talk about today. It's one of the best solution out there for FP&A planning, and I'm sure this is something that you would find it interesting. So now this was just a small, intro that I wanted to give about Anamind, who we are and what a solution we have. I hand it over to Nick for taking us through the great presentation and the demo. Over to you, Nick. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Sheetal. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So for today, our webinar, we went through some of the partnership introductions. Afterwards, I'll talk a little bit more about Planful, give you a little bit of background on our solution. But really for today, what we're going to be focusing on is around the reporting capabilities and talk about some of the issues that we tend to see across clients and how we solve those issues. Afterwards, I'll do a recap on takeaways that you should take away from this presentation. And if any questions come up as I go through this, definitely feel free to use the Q&A function. I'll leave some time at the end so we can review any questions and discuss anything further. So in terms of why we are here today, so when we're talking about our corporations, our organizations, they tend to be going through a lot of different processes within finance, whether it's closing consolidation, planning, or even creating reports. And a lot of times, what people are doing today is very time consuming and cumbersome. So if we're just focusing on the reporting side of things, a lot of times people are doing things manually in spreadsheets. They have to export data out of their systems. They have to massage it, be able to get into a format that's good to go in order to create their reports. And afterwards, they have to spend some time verifying that data, or in being able to go through a manual review process. All of that takes up a lot of time, and organizations are spending hundreds of hours each month in terms of creating reports, reviewing things, tending to any ad hoc requests. They also may be going through various pain points such as version control or lacking transparency in reports, where the number is coming from. So in terms of being able to quickly create reports, a tool like Planful, an FPM tool, financial performance management, can definitely help in terms of cutting down those cycle times, as well as helping increase the financial IQ of your business in terms of being able to distribute reports and have that visibility across your organization. And I know today we're just talking about reporting, but a lot of these issues and pain points that we're seeing that I just spoke on, this is happening across different processes as well, whether it be closing consolidation or doing the budgeting, annual forecasting process. That's all stuff that we hear in terms of process being too time consuming, too manual. And so in terms of Planful, really what we're designed to be is an end-to-end FP&A tool where we can go through, be able to contain all the different sources of data that you may have in order to do that reporting, that planning that you need. And really the value that it brings in terms of having a tool like Planful is you're able to make those key decisions faster. So you're cutting down those cycle times. You have more time to focus on your analysis and be able to really hammer out those details and be able to get to that decision-making process faster. We're also going to have a lot of flexibility and control. So a lot of those pain points are alleviated in terms of being able to create reports quickly and then also structure them how you need to be able to see them, where an end user can come in and be able to do the analysis that they need to do without having to pull on someone like IT or another resource in order to help them get through things. And then I mentioned being able to bring in all those data sources. So we really are designed to be that single source of truth for organizations where we can connect to various systems. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, but really bringing in that data so that you're able to cover all corners of your business in one single platform without having to jump through being able to export data out of various systems and being able to piece things together for your analysis. So with Planful here, you can see what we're really doing is we're taking in data from things like Excel, things like your ERP systems, maybe even an HRIS or even other CRM or operational places where you're housing your data for planning and reporting, being able to contain that all in one platform. And I know I spoke a little bit about on some of the other capabilities that Planful is able to handle, things like closing consolidation, the reporting, and then obviously the planning and operational plan that may come with it. And then in terms of the output, the way you're interacting with this, it's all going to be either web-based within Planful, within your internet browser, or we also have an Office Suite integration where you're able to interact with the data in Planful in tools that you're familiar with, like PowerPoint, like Word and Excel. And then you can see we also have some BI tools as well that you're able to interact with Planful once you have the data and be able to conduct your analysis in that as well. In terms of motivators, why would somebody choose to end the processes that they're doing and look to improve it using an FPM tool? So a lot of times, running into the pain points, things are being time consuming. You'll see insufficient technology and resources really get you that flexibility that you need and get you that analysis quicker. Sometimes you may be mandated by leadership, or there may be errors that are coming across in your business because, again, with the manual process, you may be overwriting formulas, you may be typing in some incorrect numbers. So definitely can help reduce risk in terms of having everything in one single system. And then obviously the environment today, in terms of the business environment, it's always changing. There's always new challenges popping up. So again, not being bogged down in your cycles with manual processes, exporting data, massaging, creating different formats, being able to manually review things. You need to be able to get to and tackle those challenges quicker. And so here's just a look again around some of the different things that you're going to be able to do within Planful: closing consolidation, financial planning, operational planning. For today, we're going to be focusing on that financial reporting piece, but down the line, as we do more webinars with Anamind, we'll cover some of the other areas as well. So in terms of a demonstration, I'm going to go through some of the key areas and capabilities within Planful I'm going to first talk about reporting, some of the typical interactions, even creating ad hoc reports on the fly. I know that's a big item for a lot of people with ad hoc requests coming up. They're spending hundreds of hours each month trying to tend to those and be able to move quickly to be able to fulfill any requests. Afterwards, I'll talk about some of the AI and machine learning that we have within Planful. Can definitely be a big time saver in terms of reviewing numbers, making sure things look reasonable, and really, again, saving time in terms of cutting down any review cycles. Afterwards, we'll take a look into our Office Suite integration. And then to close things out, I'll take a look at some dashboards as well as visualizations. So here, I'm in Planful. You can see I'm in the web. We are a web-based, cloud-based platform where you can access Planful anywhere you have internet access. And here, I'm in my reporting area of the software. So what we're going to be able to see here is a folder structure. You can see my file cabinet. Basically, all I have here is just different folders housing different reports. One thing to note about Planful, and if we have any follow-up discussions, maybe we can talk a little bit more about the structure and the protections in place, but did want to point out here, in terms of having a tool like Planful, where you maybe having multiple people in the system being able to create their own reports, being able to share things out, you're able to limit access based on who's able to access particular folders and who's able to access particular reports. So from that standpoint, definitely security in place in terms of who's able to interact with what data. Now, what I'd like to do is just pull up an example of a report and talk through some of the typical interactions, and then afterwards we'll get into how to create things on the fly. So here we're looking at a P&L, so you can see accounts coming down in rows, and then across columns we can see a month-to-date timeline as well as a year-to-date timeline. And then across, we're also comparing our different scenarios, whether it be actuals, plan, forecast, comparing, looking at those variances there. That's all we're doing in this report. And then in terms of creating this report, one thing I did want to also mention, Planful compared to other vendors, a lot of times they see us as really easy to use and more user-friendly. I think a big thing that helps here is that we're actually leveraging spreadsheet syntax in order to create formulas, in order to structure reports, where you don't have to learn coding or proprietary languages in order to make changes and be able to create things that you want. And so if I just take a look at our gross margin, I hover over this cell, you can see all it is a simple Excel formula. But then from there, in terms of how Planful can having a system like this can help alleviate some of the pain points that you need. You may be going through creating reports, and then once you send them off, people need to see some of the details. So you can obviously go in, be able to see, what makes up my travel and entertainment line in those figures. You can get down to an account level detail because you are bringing in things from your ERP, tracking those actuals. But then furthermore, you can get to even more granular detail because again, we want to be that single source of truth. So if I wanted to see what makes up my actuals number, I can actually drill down to the transactional level. And so now here, I'm able to see the transactions that make up that particular figure. Can even do things like link invoice images as well. So it can definitely help in terms of verifying data because a lot of times people create reports. Now they need to see what makes up a number. They have to go to their ERP system, be able to export different transactions or figures in order to be able to cross-reference and verify that data. But now here, a system like Planful can do that all within one screen in one single view. I think another common pain point across businesses in terms of reporting is being able to collaborate with others. And so, if you're doing things manually today, you may be sending off various spreadsheets, having people take a look at them and getting feedback. So in terms of commentary, a lot of times, especially if you are creating multiple versions of reports, not only are you running into issues with version control and being able to track down what's the latest version, comments and things like that may be getting buried in cells, or they may be getting lost in email threads. Within Planful, that version control issue goes away, but then you're also able to collaborate with your teammates. And so if you see these red carrots here on some of these cells, that means there's commentary threads in here. So I can click on a particular cell that has comments. You can see I'm interacting with teammates here. You're able to tag them, be able to hold all of those comments right here within Planful so that things aren't getting lost. And I can even come in, maybe even tag, my colleague Carl, and I can say this is verified. I can even assign tasks to him as well. But if I go ahead, create that comment, not only does it tag Carl within Planful, gives him a notification, but it's also going to send him that email notification with a link taking him to exactly where they need to go. So definitely streamlining in terms of collaboration, where again, things aren't getting lost in cells. You don't have to track through your email threads and try to find various comments. It's all going to be contained within these various data points. And so, that commentary thread that I just looked at, it's for our sales and marketing figure for our actuals of April of 2023. If I pull up another report that has that same data point, that commentary thread will be contained in there as well. And obviously you can turn comments off and, make it distribution ready if you want to be able to send things out, but just something that helps streamline collaboration when we're talking about things like reporting. Now, in terms of this report, this is obviously something that has been pre-built, but a lot of times organizations everywhere, they're spending hundreds of hours, again, each month being able to tend to ad hoc requests. So, let's say it is late on a Friday afternoon and, my colleague says, I like this P&L, but I need to be able to see a 12-month trend of this data. But then also, I don't care about our plan and our actuals. I need to show off our forecast scenario. So if you're doing things manually today, you may have to, again, export the data that you need out of your ERP system, be able to create a new report on the fly, be able to get things ready, and then afterwards be able to verify things before you send things off to your colleague. With a system like Planful, we have a very robust reporting engine where it has a lot of flexibility and control around how you're creating reports. And so all we're doing in terms of report creation is we're interacting with our data dimensions and then dictating where they belong in a report. And so you can see here, I have things broken out into page, broken out into rows, broken out into columns. I'm able to control what goes where in terms of our dimensions. And so I mentioned, I want to be able to see a 12-month trend for this data set, for this particular report. I don't want to see this month-to-date, year-to-date view. What I can do is actually delete that from columns, and Planful is going to have a very easy to use drag and drop point and click interface where I can go through, pick my time dimension, drag it to columns, and now I'm able to dictate, what level of detail am I seeing, what months am I seeing in terms of this report. You can also create views that you tend to use over time and be able to use them over and over again and be able to mix and match them within reports as well. And so I actually have one built out. We call them report sets, but they have one for time where all it is just that 12-month trend. But I know I'm going to be viewing it for other reports as well. So I created a view here. And then the last thing I mentioned, only wanting to be able to see our 2023 forecast, all I have to do is just drag my scenario dimension up to the page level filter, come in, be able to select my forecast scenario. And then when I click run, now I have a new report in just a matter of seconds with just a few clicks, where I'm not spending a whole lot of time being able to pull together all of that data. So again, a system like Planful can really cut down on those cycles that you're going through and leave you more time in the day to get to more of the analysis and that value add in terms of decision making. And then of course, if I needed to adjust anything, I can certainly, pick out individual departments that I wanted to see, or, look at, different entities that may be in my structure. A lot of flexibility in terms of what you're able to have in Planful with a tool like this. And then, in terms of being able to save different versions, that's all you have to do is just be able to save as. You can send it off to others and be able to create that new version. Now, in terms of creating this new report, that next step I spoke about is around being able to verify results before you go ahead and send things off. And so one thing that we have in Planful that can definitely save a ton of time in terms of being able to review data, being able to spot potential errors. We're leveraging AI and machine learning. We have our own proprietary algorithms where it's basically algorithms that we think of as 1,000 set of eyes that's constantly screening your data and being able to pick out what may be considered a high risk data item or potential anomaly that we may be running into, so that you're really able to hone in, be able to focus on those items rather than having to go through, manually look at each data point cell by cell and make sure things are reasonable. So what I can do here is I can just click show signals. And now here, what I'm able to see are different data points that may be sticking out as a potential anomaly or a high risk item. And so here, things are color coded. Anything in red is going to be considered high risk. Anything in orange is going to be considered medium risk. If I had anything in terms of a blue color, that would be considered a low risk. And then what I'm able to do is actually drill down into the detail. I can get a breakout of different data points that we may have, and even see the individual context, see where things may be sticking out in terms of where that AI and machine learning is expecting those items to pop up and be in terms of a predicted range. You can certainly go ahead, compare what you have in the forecast to other scenarios and actuals. There's different ways that you can help shape the algorithm, whether it's excluding certain months or certain years, but really gives you a good comparison point in being able to look at where does my data stand out? How does it stack up to past data points, the seasonality of things? And then, with that collaboration piece that I introduced earlier, you can then fold in that collaboration as well, where if we need to take a look at this month of April, now I can go ahead, comment, be able to tag my teammates, and maybe we need to look into things further. And then again, it kind of kicks off and helps streamline that collaboration process. So it can definitely be a big time saver in terms of the review cycles. And the AI and machine learning technology is constantly growing. So as you continue to use Planful, be able to upload more data into it, it's only going to get smarter, where it's going to pick up on things like your seasonality and your trends and really give you a more precise predicted range. Additionally, you can also view things at a high level as well. So, if you want to be able to see, across my particular scenario, and I can go ahead and filter by different scenarios. Oh, and I'll just go ahead and pull that up again. But really what you're able to do is pick out, be able to filter by your forecasts, by different time periods, by accounts, by departments, be able to see, what potential anomalies am I having in my data set? How many are considered high risk? How many are medium? How many are low? And then, get a running list of everything that may be sticking out. Maybe you need to look into it further. And I can obviously get back to that original screen as well, where, I'm able to see that individual context for any given data point and see what sticks out, how does it stack up to where, the predicted range is coming up with. And then again, folding in that collaboration where it's just a seamless transition rather than having to go through manually review reports cell by cell and then send things off via email. Things are getting lost in comments, things are getting lost in email threads. In terms of creating, packages in terms of your board or your management team, Planful can certainly create what we call report collections. Think of those as your board packets, where you can basically create those different reports, be able to bundle them together, send them off, as a different medium, as in, an Excel workbook, as a PDF, as a Word document, Google Sheets, and really automate that send. So, if your board or your management team needs to be able to see things, every month or every quarter, you can automate that feed as well. Additionally, I mentioned we're also going to touch on our Microsoft Office integration. So it can definitely be helpful in terms of creating different presentations, or again, those board packets. And so Planful, we have that Office Suite integration where you're able to access Planful's database right here within something like PowerPoint. All we have is just a simple add-in that you download. It allows you to interact and be able to pull in those different data points. So in terms of a slide like this, what we're seeing here, is some data tables. We also see some charts. If you're creating things manually, you have to run your models, you have to create the charts, you have to double check things, and then, copy and paste them into a slide like this. Within Planful, you can create all of the data tables, all of the charts right within the system, and then link it to your PowerPoint. And with that integration, it's going to be a live feed. And so, if I need to go in and let's say I need to view a different entity, I can go and filter by a different entity, go ahead and select it, or a different department, a different product. I'm able to go through, make those selections. After I do that, the data, the charts, they all update on the fly. Even for slides like this, where you may have a handful of statements or metrics that you're reporting on time and time again. Maybe it's a consistent format that your board or management team is used to. You're able to link all of the numbers to the Planful database. And so I think where this Office Suite integration really becomes effective is being able to maintain these decks. You don't have to come in and every quarter when you're getting a new deck, you don't have to come in, rerun your models, copy and paste things, or even build these slides from scratch. What you can simply do is link these data points to Planful. And then now, from a maintenance standpoint, all we have to do is update our substitution variables to be able to either roll things forward or be able to change different scenarios that we're looking at, or anything else in terms of your dimensions. And so, let's say right now it's Q2, we want to move things along to Q3. All I have to do is come in, select Q3, select refresh, and then you'll notice data points and the numbers update on the slide. So it can really be helpful in terms of that maintenance, and again, cutting down your time in terms of getting things together for a presentation like this, where you now have that added time back in your day, where you're not focusing on tidying up a PowerPoint report. You can then maybe start to look at different scenarios and do more of that value add analysis. Additionally, what we can also do is, I know a lot of times, particular stakeholders, they'll be questioning certain numbers as you're presenting things. And so someone may say, where is this 2.08 million coming from, with our operating expenses forecast to be higher for the current quarter? What I can do is actually click on a particular data point, and then I can do on-the-fly analysis. And so I click Analyze in Excel, and it's pulling up Excel on my end. I'll just pull that over to my screen. But now I get that data point of that 2.08 million. And what I'm able to do is really drill down and again, do that ad hoc analysis and that investigation right here on the fly without having to tell my board member or another stakeholder, I have to run my models. I'll have to get back to you in a couple of days. So it can definitely, again, save some time on that front. So if I wanted to see the breakout of operating expenses, I can drill down, get this particular cut. Or if I wanted to break things out by cost center, can do that breakout as well. So now I'm able to see things broken out by the different data intersections. maybe I don't want to see this actuals versus forecast variance. Maybe I just want to see the 2023 forecast numbers. I can interact with my scenario dimension here, click 2023 forecast, and then I'll just obtain the data. Now I'm getting those forecast number results. And then can even, do more things where, maybe I don't need to see things broken out by cost center, where I want to see them broken out by time. I can drag my time dimension across. Maybe I want to break it out by months, or maybe, instead of breaking it out by month, I want to view things quarter by quarter. So I want to see, what's the change from Q2 to Q3. I'll pull in Q3 there, click get data, and then now, I can do, any variance calculations on the fly, right here in the Excel worksheet. So really gives you that that flexibility and that ease of use in terms of using tools that you're familiar with, like PowerPoint and like Excel, but really powerful in terms of the analysis and the time that you're able to be able to perform those items. So I'll just go back into Planful to close things out. I know what I showed you today is more around the reports, where you saw some of the financial reporting, ad hoc report creation, and even some of the presentations and board decks that you may have. Can also set up things like dashboards. And so, with dashboards, they give you that additional medium where you may be looking at the charts. They're easier to consume. You're able to see different trends over time, and it may provide that thought-provoking analysis rather than reports that can absolutely have visualizations built into Planful. And in terms of structuring a dashboard like this, again, all you're doing is using that point and click, drag and drop functionality that's already built into Planful, where you don't have to spend some time learning coding, learning a new language in order to be able to create different charts in a dashboard like this. And then the same thing can be said where in terms of reporting, where you can have that security in place, control who has access to what dashboard, can even get to different cuts of the data right here within one screen. So if I wanted to, it makes up my actuals for Q2. I can get that transactional view again, like how we were just seeing. Can even get to my operational planning, which we may cover in another webinar. But here, now I'm looking at my forecast scenario. I'm able to see the operational planning items even jump to the different areas and the different planning templates in which these items are coming from. These numbers are being projected. And I think the last thing that I'll just point out here as well is you'll see some charts around, financial information, revenues, operating expenses, cash flows. But you'll also see things on the left. We have things like an average sales price. We're also tracking in an FTE count. So again, we want to be able to pull in data from your various sources, being able to contain it within Planful to really be that single source of truth where you can cover all the different corners of your business and people are able to get, that the items that they need in terms of their planning, their reporting right at their fingertips without having to go through those manual cycles of, jumping to different systems and being able to export different sets of data. And, with a system like this, having those protections in place can really help you leverage and increase the financial IQ of your business. So having dashboards, having reports, having the flexibility to pull on all of those different types of information all in one system, it'll give users the ability to create, new dashboards, new reports that maybe it was too difficult to create in the past. They get that analysis, they're able to get those results at their fingertips and can, enhance the way that you're sharing reports today, where you may be, increasing that transparency across your business in terms of where things stand within the business, any types of takeaways in terms of analysis, and then, what may be something that we need to work on can easily come in, be able to create new scenarios and expand on anything that you're doing there. So I know I mentioned I'm going to leave some time for Q&A. Just as a last slide, just want to talk about a recap of what we showed and what we talked about today. So, we started off talking about a lot of the typical pain points that we come across where, people are doing things manually. It's taking up a lot of time, a lot of effort from their teams. Having an FPM tool like Planful can really help you, have that flexibility, that easy use to create outputs quickly and outputs that you want without having to go through some of those manual efforts. Obviously, that helps compress cycle times. But then again, going through things and having that tool at your at your fingertips, it allows you to increase that financial transparency across your business, where it enables your different users and your business partners to be able to get the items that they need in a quickly timed manner, but then also help expand on any analysis or any decision-making items that they need to tend to in the future. So just want to wrap things up here. Just wanted to see, anything come in the Q&A. Sheetal or Fiona, I don't know if you saw anything come up in the presentation, but happy to answer any questions right now. If things do come up later, can definitely reach out. You can see some of the contact information here as well, but happy to talk more about your processes today, what you've seen today, and maybe how Planful can fit in the future as well.
Right. Thanks, Nick, for the great presentation. I do have a few questions which I can possibly check with you if you can help us answer that. So, in terms of, how easy is it to connect with the system, with various systems? People do have multiple ERPs in place. So how easy is it to connect and get all that data and create these reports? So how much time and how easy is it to leverage Planful there?
Yeah, in terms of getting in the data, there's different ways to go about it. So if you want to have that automated integration where you're pulling in data every day or every hour, we have hundreds of pre-built connectors to a lot of the common data systems like NetSuite, any of the Microsoft items, or even HRIS systems. So we have a lot of pre-built connectors, but in terms of connecting to other systems that you may be wondering about, anything that has an open API, we're able to connect and be able to pull in that data. Additionally, for other things that you may not need that live feed of data back and forth, that live connection, you can also go through and import data via a manual, flat file via Excel. And so a lot of flexibility, and it's definitely an easy process in terms of that uploading process where you're importing data. Really, it's just a wizard-based approach where you attach the file, you dictate what does each thing represent, and be able to upload things into Planful. So we've definitely seen it from various sources. Again, whether it be things like an HRIS, a CRM, maybe it's some operational place where you house data, can definitely connect to any number of sources.
Right. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for that answer. The other question that people typically have, and which I felt that we need to answer, is with respect to the dashboard. Now, are these dashboards customizable as per user? Can I, as a financial planner or user, can make that change on the dashboard? How easy is it to make changes to these dashboards and also share it across with the users?
Yeah. And actually, what I can do is, let me see here. What I can do is just quickly show. In terms of the dashboard like this, like I mentioned, everything is going to be easy to use. So our platform is designed to be managed and owned by finance teams, where you don't have to pull in like an IT person in order to help create this particular chart that we're seeing. So if I actually go into editing mode, all it is just dragging and dropping different types of reports or different charts that you want to have. And then in terms of editing the charts, it's going to be similar to things that we saw on the reporting side of things. where you're just interacting with your data dimensions. So you'll notice I have some different dimensions up above, and then being able to pick and go through, what selections am I making for any particular chart, whether it be on, the filter level or different axis. Here we're pulling on time, we're pulling on our different scenarios as well. So, really easy in terms of that standpoint, in terms of chart creation. And then sharing things, really Planful, we're going to have a user-based, role-based security where not only can you control, what are people able to see in terms of dashboards, in terms of reports. Are they able to see certain reports or certain dashboards? You're also able to set them up where they have security measures in place that limit access to which data they're able to see. So if you have someone across different entities, you're able to see, or you're able to set that access where they can only see data from their particular entity or by department, by different projects. So really easy in terms of setting up that security as well, where an end user can come in, there's no clutter, they're only able to see the things that you want them to be able to see and interact with.
All right, I think that's a good information for all of you, our users. So thanks, Nick. Thanks for taking your time to walk us through the presentation and an incredible demo of Planful solution. In case any of the participants or people who would be watching the recording, if you would have any questions with respect to the solution or things that we have showcased, or if you really want to get an in-depth demo of our overall solution, feel free to reach out to hello@anamind.com and we'll be happy to arrange a demo session for you. Also, in future, as we said, this is a webinar series, so we might be coming up with another topic soon. We'll release the date and the topic details, possibly along the lines of closing and consolidation for our users. So we will be happy to let you know that we are planning on it, and soon we'll release the date and we'll let you know. All right, I think that's about it. It was a great session. Thank you all. Thanks for joining the session. Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.